Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. We are Monday as I'm recording this, right after the second Austrian Grand Prix, the steering Grand Prix. And the race was just shortly over that already we got our first controversy of, well, not our first, but another controversy. Renault complaining to the FIA about the legality of the Racing Point car. Racing Point that finished 6th and 7th this weekend in front of Daniel Ricciardo, and a car that was dubbed the pink Mercedes because it looks so much like the 2019 Mercedes. So here's my opinion on this and why I think this car is actually legal, on the contrary as to what Renault is claiming. But before that, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. So, yeah, the pink Mercedes. Yeah, I do believe the car is legal the way they made it. Of course, depends on what evidence the Renault will bring to the FIA. But here's how I see it. Racing Point, probably, as far as we know, took a lot of pictures of the 2019 Mercedes. Every team has many of them. And the rule says, and that's the rule that Renault is using for his claim, the rule says that you can have a design inspired by someone else, by another team. You can have your car designed by someone else that is not a competitor. For example, Haas, who's having their chassis built by Dallara. So that's fine because Dallara is not a Formula One team. But you cannot have a direct competitor designing parts for you, and you cannot take plans from another team like we saw with the Spygate a few years ago to do your own business. But the way I see it, if Racing Point took many pictures of the 2019 Mercedes, tried to copy its design as much as they could, I think in a way that is fair. And my reason for thinking that is, look at all the different small elements on the Formula One cars. For example, front wings that all have similar designs. Someone thought of that at first, and then another team said, well, that's a good idea, let's see how we can do it. And another team said, oh, well, that's a good idea, let's see how we can do it. And so in the end, they all tried copying what the other had. And many times, if you just look at some parts like the front wings or some rear wings design, even barge boards, they look sometimes very similar to what other teams have. Can even think in 2009 the double diffuser that Braun had at the beginning of the season that allowed them to win the championship. Well, what do you know? Many races after the beginning of the season, other teams had a double diffuser. And there's also, the fact that there is no way of doing a 100% exact copy of what your competitor have. That's impossible. Even from pictures, you can only guess so much. The only way to have a proper copy is to have access to the original plans, which, as far as we know, did not happen. Last week, after the Austrian Grand Prix, Andre Seidel from McLaren said that there was no ground for complaining to about Racing Point, and if Renault is doing it this week, it means they probably have other evidence, or they want clarification of what is okay and what is not. But in any case, I don't think that it's an infringement of the rules, as, like I said, as far as we know, Racing Point did not have access to the original plans of the 2019 Mercedes, and yeah, could only copy it so much, but never 100%. If it was the real deal, well, we would probably see Racing Point literally fighting with Mercedes. They have a Mercedes engine, so why would they be behind? Which does not make sense. Especially considering that some of these cars are as performant and even pretty much as performant as they were last year, even if they beat the quali time. But Racing Point was quite a long way behind Mercedes compared to Red Bull. Yes, Perez fought with Alex Albon, but if Mercedes had wanted to, they could have really just owned that race by almost a lap on everyone, probably. So yeah, on the basis that you can copy, but only so much, from pictures and whatever, you can talk with other people, maybe in the garage behind closed doors, just around a beer. I don't think that Racing Point has infringed any rules. They were just clever in thinking, well, that works. Why bother spending so much money on something that would be a guess? And worst case, they thought if that does not work, it was supposed to be a 1-year deal only, but now obviously it's going to be 2 years with the rules postponed to 2022. But still, we'll see what the FIA decides. I mean, Renault and Racing Point will have to be heard by the authorities. But yeah, I don't think this car is illegal. I think they're just clever, and they're making the best of all the resources available to them. And yeah, that's a topic to follow. Another bit of news I want to talk about is those new races that were announced in the calendar. After the Italian Grand Prix, we're going to race at Mugello for the first time, which is a Ferrari track, and it's going to be the 1000th Grand Prix of Ferrari. And then we're going at the end of September to Sochi in Russia. And apparently there could be spectators. They apparently started selling tickets. But what I want to talk about here is the possibility, and the strong possibility at this point, that because of those two races, there will probably be no race in America. Not in Canada, not in Mexico, not in the US, not in Brazil. Probably no race on the American continent. There's a guy playing guitar over there. So yeah, possibility that there will literally be no race in America, and that's due to the fact that we're going to Russia. And then the latest there could be a Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal here would be mid-October, maybe October 11th, which was the first rumor date. And after that, that's impossible because it's too cold and of snow are actually pretty high after October 15 in Montreal. So this rules the Canadian Grand Prix off the chart, also considering that with the coronavirus and everything, borders to Canada have not been reopened, not to Europe, not to the US. Our borders are still closed to pretty much everyone. So that would also be a bit of trouble. The US, well, the pandemic is really just out of control over there, and with their super bright president, let's say that I don't think it's gonna improve in the short term. Mexico, no big news, but they're close to the US, so that's a risk. And Brazil also pretty much out of control with the president that denied COVID-19 until he caught it. So then that leaves, after Sochi, the rumors that we would actually go to Portugal. I'm not sure which track, but it would be first race in a long time in Portugal. And that would be interesting, exploring other avenues, new tracks. I think that's cool. Though this makes me a little bit sad because I usually attend the Canadian Grand Prix every year, obviously. And yeah, I mean, I understand you have to be safe for everyone. We want to keep racing, and I think this is the most important part. So that's another topic to follow. But yeah, the rumors, as I'm recording this, are that there would be no Canadian Grand Prix, and we would go to Portugal after Sochi. And yeah, like I said, it's all a question of logistic and staying safe from the virus. And yeah, it's also going to be a big loss to not go to the US. But hey, we have to go racing, and we don't know what would come after Portugal, if there is a race then. We're still waiting on dates for Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, but at the very least, the calendar is shaping up a little bit. I think we're gonna have, I'd say 15 races. I don't think we're gonna get to 18 at this point, considering that Sochi would be race number 10, end of September, so that leaves maybe 3 in October. Yeah, I mean, maybe 18, but yeah, they're gonna have to find a lot of tracks for that. So we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, tell me what you think of these vlog posts, and wish you a good day. Please stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you for the Hungarian Grand Prix next weekend. Take care.